All right, here we go. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And in this video, we're going to be doing a quick a recap of the Champions League semifinals and our thoughts about what we just saw. I mean, these were both absolute stunners of games here. So, Fletcher, how are
Mm.
you doing after this? I mean, absolute scenes. What did you think?
Yeah, this was, I would say one of these was a lot more entertaining than the other. Um, but I mean, yeah, we talked about this before, how this was probably the most exciting uh, Champions League semifinal going into it, just in terms of the teams that were left. And it did not disappoint at
Absolutely
all.
not.
I felt like this was a phenomenal two fixtures of football. Even though one was a lot more boring than the other, it was still a great, pretty evenly matched battle, I thought. So I just want to get right into the two fixtures, starting with the one that ended first, the Barca versus Inter, two legs. I mean, this was, I think, the best two-legged UCL match I think I've ever seen.
I mean, this game was insane. Like, absolute cinema. It was back and forth, literally. I mean,
Yeah.
ending 4-3 is actually crazy. And I mean, even the first leg was insane as well. I mean,
Mhm.
3-3 in Barcelona. But I mean, I guess 120 minutes at the San Siro is a very long time. But
I mean,
yeah, what did you what let's talk about the first
well,
leg
I mean,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, go on.
So at Barcelona, um, it to me it seemed like this was the game for Barca to win. Obviously at home, but I thought if they could win that first leg, then I felt like they would have been very comfortable going to Inter and holding on to that lead. But Inter scored. They scored a goal like 30 seconds into the game,
Yeah.
and another one like within the fifth minute to take a 2-0 lead almost immediately. And it was, I mean, the absolute worst possible start. And you have to give it to Inter and kind of their set pieces. I mean, they're just such a well managed team. Um, and they might not be the most talented team in world football, but I mean, their footballing IQ and the personnel and their tactics and their manager is just so phenomenal. It really is kind of like the Inter, like the 2010s kind of Jose Mourinho Inter a little bit,
Oh yeah.
um,
I,
where they could go against teams like Barca who are a lot more talented and have a lot more flair and attack, and they can hold their own and even beat them. And that's what we saw over these two legs. But them taking that 2-0 lead, when I saw that happen, I was like, okay, well, it's Barca's kind of cooked here because Inter has arguably the best
that's defense.
defense in the world. All they have to do is just sit back at this point. But no, Barca came storming back, um, and you have to give it to Barcelona as well because I think after going down 2-0 that early on, I think most, especially at home, most teams would just be completely demoralized, completely shell shocked. But this Barca team, we've seen it time and time. And again, we just saw it last weekend in the El Clasico. I mean, this team, like, they no lead is safe from this Barca team. Like, literally, they could accomplish almost anything. They're just such a scary team because their attack is so like beautiful. I guess is the word. Like, it's so free flowing. It's so high octane. Um, and you got to give it to really Pedri, Rafinha, and Yamal. Um, I think are just probably the three best players in the world right now. I mean, you could throw Dembele and Salah up there if you want, but those three guys, I mean, over these two legs, all three of those guys absolutely cooked.
Yeah.
And all three of them put up. I mean, Yamal had kind of a stinker at the end of that second leg. I'm not gonna lie, but for them to storm back and tie this game up in the first leg
Yeah.
was pretty remarkable.
I mean, in this first leg, I feel like Yamal was the most dangerous player on this pitch. Like, most
He
dangerous
was.
player on this pitch was definitely Yamal. They had a constant. I think they were double man marking him. For the
Hmm.
majority of that game, it was what I think it was Federico DeMarco and Bastoni were both on him the entire time.
Yeah.
So I mean, DeMarco didn't have the best of games in that first leg against them, but like
Mhm.
in talking about this as a whole, like this entire leg, I think my standout player is Denzel Dumfries. Like Inter would not
Yeah.
be where they are without Denzel Dumfries. I mean, he had 2 goals and an assist in the first leg, and he had
Yeah.
2 assists in the second leg. Like this guy literally carried Inter. I mean, like you could talk about Acerbi, with that equalizer late in the second leg, and then the Fratesi goal. But Denzel Dumfries is my standout player this entire just both legs. Like he was so good,
Yeah.
so pivotal for this team. And I mean that one goal that he scored, it was that scissor kick. I think it was the first leg.
Yeah.
The
It
second
was
goal, like the
the
twenty
second
first
goal of the
minute. Yeah,
game.
it was like
Yeah.
something in like the early 20 minutes to like get
Mhm.
that 2-0 lead. Oh my god, Dumfries! Like what are you? How are you doing this shit? But like yeah,
Yeah.
Denzel Dumfries, kind of a really underrated player these past couple of years. I mean, he was pretty good in the World Cup, 2022 World Cup for the Netherlands. He kind
Mhm.
of still played that like wingback role at the Netherlands, which is something that Frimpong kind of plays now. But yeah, Denzel Dumfries, one of the best full, I guess, wingbacks in the world at this point right now. After this performance, but this Barcelona team, Pedri, I mean, is so good. Like he's like one of those players that everybody kind of wishes that you had on your team. But like, yeah, I mean, Barcelona without Robert Lewandowski for both of these games, I think he subbed on late in that second half of the second leg. But
Yeah.
it, Ferran was good. Ferran had a goal, I think, in the first leg. I don't know what he did in the second leg. I'm not sure if he scored or not. But yeah, this is an this tie right here, I think will go down in history as one of the best, like, I don't know, one of the best Champions League fixtures, semifinal fixtures of all time.
Yeah. I mean, I think factoring in the two legs, because obviously you've had some pretty great, like
Yeah,
that Tottenham Ajax second
yeah,
leg in 2019, and even the Liverpool Barca second leg in 2019 come to mind. But I think over the two legs, um, this was absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, just talking about that second half of this first leg as well, we went into halftime 2-2, and then we had Denzel Dumfries, I believe it was off a corner, um, score his second of that game to get a brace,
yeah,
and then about like literally like a couple minutes later, off of a Barca corner, they did a slow roller, kind of to outside the box, kind of faked out everyone, to a wide open Rafinha, who had one of the most beautiful strikes. He hit that with so much pace. It bounced off the crossbar and then hit Jan Sommer on the back of the head. It ended up counting as an own goal. But really, I think that was one of the best Rafinha plays from this season. Like, if he ends up winning the Ballon d'Or, they need to put that on the highlight reel because that goal was insane,
insane.
and it couldn't have come at a bigger moment to immediately equalize the game at home. Um, this
Yeah,
Barca team, like their will and the determination, every time they get Inter knocked them down, they immediately hit back, and it's pretty remarkable to see. So this game, the first leg ended 3-3.
yeah,
So we went to the San Siro, all tied up, and it really felt like this was a complete coin toss on who was going to win this second leg. Barca seemed like they were the better team, but they were going to Inter, which gave them a slight advantage in a way. So it really, like, this one really felt like it could go either way. And the way the game played out, like, it, I mean, the game could have ended multiple different ways if you
mhm.
just changed, like, one play. Which is pretty remarkable that the second leg ended up being better than the first leg.
Yeah. I completely agree. I mean, like, Lamine Yamal, man. I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, as a Real Madrid player, he's like one of the best players in the world. Like he's so good.
Yeah.
He is always a constant threat on the field. I mean, like
Mm.
every time you see the ball, it's like, oh no, like Barca's about to score. Like he's always cooking somebody. But like I mean, Inter really stepped it up with their defense in that second leg. I mean, I know they let in 3 goals, but I feel like their defense
Mm.
was much like more containing Yamal. Bastoni had a pretty good game. In my opinion, DeMarco had a much better game than he did in the first leg.
Mm.
Serbi had a pretty good game. And like, I mean, there were some controversial like calls from the refs here and there. I know Barcelona was complaining at the end of that game about the refs being in Inter's favor, especially with that Lautaro penalty, where it was Pau
Mm.
Kubarsi comes in, and he takes out Lautaro Martinez in the box, and they kind of call it as or they called it as a penalty for Lautaro. But like, I mean, for me, that was a clear and obvious penalty. I mean, Lautaro, wonderful play from Lautaro. He kind of puts his body in front of the ball, lets Kubarsi take him out, takes the pen. But another call that wasn't called, I think it was Yamal got kind of pulled in Inter's box,
Yeah.
which is the more controversial out of the couple calls that were made, and they
Mm.
didn't give it a pen.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
but yeah,
I
like,
think
yeah. What are your thoughts?
yeah, I mean, there were a couple calls in this game that I felt like were missed by the refs. They definitely, especially near the end of that game, because I think that was the final. I want to say it was the final goal. It was either the equalizer or the goal in extra time. I believe it was Pedri was kind of knocked off the ball, and it kind of seemed like the ref could have called it a foul. It would have been a soft foul, but there was a lot of contact there. Which I mean, the ref calls that, and Barca probably wins this game. Um,
Yeah,
but and the Yamal one as well. I remember that they initially did call that a penalty on the field, and then they went to VAR and reversed it because they said that the initial contact happened outside the
yeah,
box, which I do think was the right call, but it
yeah,
is kind of a pretty tough break
uh,
for them because
yeah,
it was a matter of inches that decided that. Because if I guess a few inches can make a difference after all. Because if Yamal was just a few more inches in the box, that's a penalty, and Barca wins this game. But I mean,
yeah,
just talking about the game itself, it really felt like a tale of two halves because this first half I felt like was completely dominant by Inter. It really seemed like they had complete control over this game. They scored, I believe it was around like the 20th minute. Lautaro
21st,
Martinez
yeah,
scored 21st
21st.
minute. He scored to take a 1-0 lead. And it felt like after that, they just had complete control over the game, and Barca really had no answers for that Inter defense. And then obviously, you talked about it, that penalty that Martinez drew right before halftime
Yeah,
to give Inter a 2-0 lead going into half. Honestly, kind of fell into the trap, but I really thought, I was like, okay, this is sealed. With the way Inter was playing in that first half, taking a 2-0 lead into the second half at the San Siro, I'm like, there's just absolutely no way that Barca comes back from this. But I was proven wrong almost immediately because Barca came out of that dressing room with their lives on the line because, I mean, obviously their UCL dream was on the line in that second half. And it felt like a team that was just wildly outmatched at times. Barca was making Inter look
hmm
because they came out and it felt like almost every single touch was in the Inter half. Like Inter could just not get the ball out of their own half at times, and it felt like every single play, every single pass was incredibly
yeah,
dangerous for Inter.
yeah,
And it felt like Barca was a threat to score almost every single time they had the ball in Inter's side. And eventually they did get their breakthrough at the 54th minute. Eric Garcia, who was kind of a surprise to start because
yeah.
Barca was missing both of their fullbacks coming into this game. And Garcia got a pretty surprising start. But he ended up scoring a first goal in this one, which really gave Barca life. And after that, shortly after that first goal, Danny Olmo scored
Another
to
header.
equalize the game.
Yeah,
And yeah, another header. And it was 2-2 pretty soon after halftime. And after that, it kind of felt like the script had completely flipped, and it looked like Barca was going to inevitably win this game because they were so much more dominant over Inter coming out of halftime, and it felt like they had complete control over the game. Um, and you got to give credit, I think, to Jan Sommer. Even though obviously he conceded a ton of goals over these two legs, but he made some incredibly big saves, especially near the end of normal time, the 90 minutes. There was a save that he made on Lamine Yamal, where it was around like the 90th minute. It would
Yeah.
have won Barca the game. Or actually, I think it was after Inter equalized, like 94th, 95th minute. Lamine Yamal had a really good chance that Jan Sommer was able to deny, and he had a couple more absolutely massive saves in the second half, which ended up being fruitful. Because if Jan Sommer just lets one of those in,
Yeah.
Inter's gone. So you got to give him his flowers for this performance.
I completely agree. And I mean, yeah, Jan Solmar had, yeah, arguably, like, I feel like him and, like, we'll talk about Donnarumma, like, when we talk about the PSG game. I feel like it was him and
Mm-hmm.
Donnarumma just going band for band on, like, who could make the
Mm-hmm.
crazier save in these legs. And I mean, yeah, Jan Solmar, I think there was one, it was, like, in the middle of the game where Lamine Yamal, he, I don't remember if it was Bastoni or DeMarco, but he cooks one of them. He cuts inside and it's going top bins. Like yeah,
Yes,
it's about to go
yes.
top bins, left, top left corner. And Jan Somar had a crazy save. I think like fingertip save. It
Mm-hmm.
goes out. But yeah, Jan Somar, crazy game. But yeah, let's talk about the ending of this game here, which was like the absolute like story come out of this game here, where Rafinha thought he scored the game winner.
Mm-hmm.
Barcelona goes
Yeah.
crazy in the 87th minute, and I mean, like I thought Inter was done. Like I was sad after
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
but I mean, what a comeback story for. I mean, Francesco Acerbi, you have to give it to this guy. Like, what a story, man! 93rd minute equalizer from him off of a Denzel Dumfries kind of just dumped into the box. Beautiful
Yeah.
bullet pass into the box. Acerbi top bins past Szczesny. And yeah, this guy is a two-time testicular cancer survivor. He beat alcoholism. And I mean, like, what the hell? Like, where was this guy, like, hiding at? Like, we never heard about any of this until today.
Well,
And yeah, he was Inter's hero.
I don't. It was. He has scored very few goals ever in his career.
Yeah.
And I mean, what a moment for him. You have to be, regardless of who you support, I mean, you have to be happy for him because that was one of the most insane um, moments of all time because it was so unexpected. Like, everybody thought the game was over. Everybody thought Barca had this one. Pedri thought he had this one. He was kind of celebrating after drawing a free kick like the
I
game was over.
yeah.
And that goal, I mean, that finish was ridiculous. Because I don't remember who the Barca. It might have been Kubasi was like right on top of him. Like he kind of like one timed it perfectly and got it to the top of the net, out of Szczesny's reach. Like it was a perfect shot, perfect finish. It was almost like destiny, dude, that he scored that goal.
Yeah.
Um,
The script writers
and
were
I mean the
crazy.
celebration, yeah, taking the shirt off. The celebration was absolutely insane. And I mean, wow. I mean, that's one of those moments that like is going to be replayed, be on compilations till the end of time as one of the best UCL moments of all time because that was absolutely ridiculous. And that Rafinha goal too. It was initially saved by
Samar,
Salmar,
yeah.
and then Rafinha. The rebound dropped right to Rafinha, and he's able to finish that. Again, another like almost like storybook moment too, or what could have been a storybook moment for Rafinha, who has obviously been the best player in the UCL and arguably the best player in the world. For him to score a signature goal, a goal that everyone thought would have been the winner to send Barca to the UCL final like that. That probably would have solidified his Ballon d'Or case, and I mean he might still win it, but wow. I mean, storybook goals within like 5 minutes of each other,
Yeah.
within this ridiculous two-leg fixture already. And then obviously right after the I mentioned it earlier, but Yamal had a really phenomenal chance to win this game. He kind of had a one-on-one with the defender in the box. He was able to get a shot off, but it was right at Sommer. It was a pretty poor finish. And I will say this about Yamal. I thought that obviously he played well and had his moments, but I just was a little disappointed, I feel like, near the end of this game with his performance. He had a couple really huge chances and wasn't able to finish either of them. This really could have been one of his defining moments early on in his career. And I don't blame him for this loss at all. He played very well over these two legs.
Yeah.
Uh, but he had his main character moment here,
N-
and he couldn't capitalize on it, I felt like.
Do
I don't
you
know.
do you remember? I think it was in like the actual like it was in regulation. It might have been Eric Garcia. I don't remember. I don't know if you remember who it was, but like I don't remember if it was who was it? I think it was Rafinha or Pedri. At one point in the game, they passed it into the box. It was literally like Jan Somar got caught lacking, and it was either Eric Garcia, Inigo Martinez, or like Gerard Martin, and they like had a clear open like shot on net. And Jan
Oh
Somar
yeah.
comes in flying from the other side of the post to save it. Like it was literally like a 90% of
Yes,
net.
yes.
And like I
Yes.
mean like I don't remember who exactly. I feel like it might have been Eric Garcia who missed it, but I'm not sure. Like don't quote me on this. But I feel like that was like the biggest miss of the game right there.
It
Like
was. It was. I know what you're talking about, yeah.
yeah, like Jan Somar, I feel like that was the craziest save he made of the entire. That might have been the craziest save of the entire Champions League
I think so, yeah.
semifinals. I think like coming out of nowhere. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
I
for
believe that was
sure.
when it was 2-2. It was like pretty soon after Barca equalized, and
Yeah,
they kind of just had an absolute onslaught on Inter's defense and on Jan Sommer. And like I said, you have to give Jan Sommer credit, even though he did concede quite a few goals during these two legs. He made some pretty pivotal changes, or pretty pivotal saves, and it had some pretty pivotal plays against the run of play. He was able to keep Inter in this game, and he gave Inter hope. I mean, gave him a chance, um, which they were able to capitalize on and end up winning this game. So you have to give credit to him because Inter would have got absolutely demolished if it wasn't for Jan Sommer.
yeah, and then of course we have to talk about the game winner. Fratesi scored in extra time in the 99th minute, and I mean, I think he went down injured like 2 minutes later after scoring that, and I thought he popped a blood vessel on his forehead after that goal. So
Yeah,
he was down after that goal, but like, I mean, the San Siro went off. I mean, after that, and like another player, that like you did not expect to like kind of score. I mean, I actually do
mm.
think that he scored the game winner against Bayern as well. So like, it's like the most like random like player to score. But like, yeah, Davide Fratese, man, like what a guy. He has what five? I think he has 5 goals in the Serie A this year. So and this
Mm.
season. So he's not the most consistent player, like, but he is a midfielder, of course. But I mean, what better time? It was literally like he had all the time in the world to shoot. Like I think it was I don't remember who assisted it, or if it was just a bounce, but yeah, he had basically all the time in the world to shoot it. He kind of sat there, took his aim, shot it. It went around Ronald Araujo and Cesny, and
Yeah.
it went bottom corner. I mean, what better way to end off the game right there? Like absolute scenes at the San Siro.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better ending. And I mean, that celebration too, climbing the barricades, climbing on top of the wall, to celebrate with the fans was pretty awesome to see.
Nah, yeah,
Um, and I don't know. A part of me kind of expected Barca to equalize, just because of the way this game had been going, but no, they weren't able to do it. Inter were able to hold them off for the rest of extra time, and they were able to advance 7-6 on aggregate. I think
that's
this was the
insane.
most goals scored in a two-legged fixture I don't know if it was the semifinal or just the UCL in general. Probably the
I feel like
semifinal.
semifinal.
Um, yeah, which is pretty ridiculous. Because I would have not necessarily expected this game to be a super high scoring game given Inter's
Yeah,
defense. But
but I mean, yeah,
wow, I mean,
you have to give Barca their credit here. It's such a good side.
yeah,
And I mean, you know what the craziest thing also, like, I mean, this team does not give up. Like, as much as I hate them, like, this team does not give up. And like, you know what, another like crazy thing that I saw today is 4 players this season have scored hat tricks against Barcelona just for their team to
yeah,
lose to Barcelona in the end. If Kylian
yeah,
Mbappe for Real Madrid, Iglesias for Celta Vigo, Guirassy for Dortmund, and
Dortmund.
Pavlidis for Benfica. So, I mean, to score a hat trick versus Barcelona just for your team to lose, I mean, their attack is so good. Like their Barcelona's attack is so good. Their defense, yeah, we talked about it throughout the season that their defense is very leaky in a way. I guess like they're pretty
It's
shambolically.
very
Yeah,
aggressive.
yeah. The high line is not doing them a lot of favors if they get caught out. But I mean, yeah, that Barcelona team, it'll be a force to be reckoned with in the future. Like I mean, this is a really young team, so like the
Mm,
it's only going to get better from here for them. So
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, Inter going through. I had Inter going through in my predictions, so I was really happy to get that right. But yeah, I mean, Inter is such a good story. I mean, I all of Milan. I mean, I think one half of Milan is really happy right now. So,
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, Inzaghi. I feel like their manager, like this guy is like he's really good. I mean, like he loves the game. He's so determined. I mean, he stood. I mean, this guy has passion for the game. You could see it. Like every time they Inter won the ball, you could see him screaming. Like it was literally like he never got back onto that bench. He was standing there in the rain all the entire 120 minutes. And I mean, he fought hard for his team. So I love to see Inter in this final. But yeah,
mm.
did you have anything else to add for this tie right here?
No, I mean, like you said, I think this Barca team, even though they weren't able to get it done, they've been so fun to watch throughout this UCL. Um, and they're such a young team too. Like, they're gonna be back. I'd be shocked if they don't end up in a UCL final within these next couple of years. Um, so yeah, this is a pretty brutal loss, like pretty heartbreaking loss for Barca fans. But I mean, this team will be back. I mean, they have the two best young players in the world. And what Hansi Flick was able to do with this squad is pretty remarkable because I think a lot of people going into this season just weren't super high on that hire because Hansi Flick kind of crashed out at the end of his Bayern tenure and with the German national team. But I mean, he's just done wonders with this squad, especially with their financial situation and how poor they were last year or the last few couple seasons. What a job he's done returning Barca to where they belong at the top of European football and competing for the UCL every year. So big props to them. But I think we should probably get into this other fixture. I have as much to say about this one because it
Yeah.
wasn't as interesting. But Arsenal versus PSG. Just talking about that first leg at the Emirates. One thing we have to mention that everyone was clowning on was that tifo. Uh, Gotta be one of the worst tifos I've ever seen. I've genuinely seen better tifos at the average MLS game than that Arsenal tifo. Like, what the hell? I know, like the supporters group had a different tifo. It was like a chess themed one, which actually
Yeah.
looked pretty
It was really
cool.
good.
Um, yeah, but the club itself denied it and was like, "Here, we got this cannon." Uh,
It's like a bed sheet. What the
the
hell?
Yeah, it was just the Arsenal logo. It looked like in FIFA, like the shittiest
Like pro clubs,
tifos that are like
tifos.
auto
Yeah.
generated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
you might as well not do a tifo at that point. That was pretty sad to see, and honestly, that kind of was symbolic of
That cannon.
this performance from Arsenal. It was kind of just. very shambolic and uninspired, I felt like. Because coming off of their 2 legs against Real Madrid, that seemed like the peak of the Arteta era so far. Like, that was a remarkable performance like that to knock off the defending champs in such a dominant fashion over those 2 legs. That I honestly really thought Arsenal was going to win this fixture against PSG. Because as good as PSG was, I felt like Arsenal, what they did to Real Madrid, I thought they could replicate that performance against PSG, and they just did not at all.
No.
Dembele scored about like 5 minutes into this game to give PSG a 1-0 lead, and that was it was a great goal, and that was about the only thing that happened in this game. I think Arsenal had a goal that got called back for offside. It was off a free kick, one of their kind of design set pieces where they have everyone line up offside and then try and jump onside at the last minute. Terrible set piece, by the way. Although they did something similar against Liverpool, and then they had Saka kind of leak in who was onside, which was actually pretty sick. I'll give them credit for that. But the one they had against PSG, that was so terrible. Of course, they end up scoring on it, but of course it gets called back for being offside because, like, obviously one of those guys is going to be offside. And of course the guy that was offside ends up scoring it. But other than that, it just felt like a very uninspiring performance from Arsenal. They had a few chances in this game, but Donnarumma made some pretty spectacular saves. And it just felt like they really didn't. It felt like they just didn't have enough gas or energy with their attack to actually make a difference. And I do think, like, this squad, they're not the deepest squad in the world, and obviously they've had their injuries with striker this season, and obviously they've been one of the most injured teams this year, which I think all of that kind of culminated with these fixtures, because I do think Arsenal were better than they showed in these 2 legs. They did not look very great during these 2 legs, and I think they've been better this season overall, but it's just unfortunate that I think everything kind of came crashing down for them at the worst moment.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I mean, the PSG kind of really dominated in London. Like, that's why I had PSG. Mm-hmm. I thought that if PSG dominated in London, kind of coming out with that 1-0 win, like even a draw, they'd be pretty much set for the second leg in Paris, which did end up happening. But I feel like going back to that Arsenal versus Real Madrid performance, I mean, I kind of feel like what happened to Real Madrid that game, it was more of just a destructive performance from Madrid rather than Arsenal having a masterclass, you know? Like, I mean, sure, they did outplay Madrid in London, but it was more of like just kind of like an implosion inside of Madrid rather than Arsenal having a crazy, you know, like outplaying Madrid at all times type of game. So when they actually face like a side that knows what they're doing, you know, a team that has chemistry, this is what happens. And you know what like the funniest thing to me is Donnarumma kind of is like the supervillain of Saka's career, you know? Like, I feel like that this man is like at every point in Saka's career, this man is out to have Saka, you know, Saka's canon moment, you know, like saving that penalty in the Euros to now this. And I mean, the second leg was really bad for Saka, of course. You know, Donnarumma is saving everything from Saka, so you have to feel for Saka. I mean, like, evil Saka is a real thing. I mean, going back to that first leg, I do think that PSG. I talked about this last time when we did this podcast, where I do think that PSG is like the most complete team out of the 4 that were left in the semifinals, because they have no clear weakness, and it really showed that they have 2 of the best fullbacks in the league. I mean, Nuno Mensch had a little bit of trouble in that first leg versus Saka, or no, he was good in the first leg. Second leg, he had a little bit of trouble, but yeah, I mean, Nuno Mensch did pretty well against Saka. Hakimi kind of really just shut down everybody on that on Arsenal's left flank. So their attack, of course, was so good. That midfield, I really do think, was the kind of MVP of that first leg. Joao Neves, Fabian Ruiz, and Vitinha, they really dominated that game. I feel like it was. We'll talk about the second leg in a second, but in that first leg, it really seemed like PSG just controlled everything. Like whatever they wanted happened. If they wanted, the majority of the possession was in the Arsenal first half, in that first, in Arsenal's half of the game, in that first leg. So I really credit that to the midfield. I mean, Joao Neves was out here winning every single duel. I swear that I saw him easily tackling everybody, and I mean, yeah, that front three is so good. I mean, PSG getting Kvara in the winter transfer window was honestly one of the best things they did, because he's been phenomenal for them. I really do think that he's been really good for them. And then, of course, Desiree Douah, really good. But Dembele did end up picking up an injury in this game, I think, or it might have been the PSG Liga 1 game after that. But Dembele was injured going into the second leg. And let's talk about the second leg here. What did you think of it? Like, just your initial thoughts before we dive into it.
I thought it was overall a better performance from Arsenal in this game.
Yes.
I felt like you could tell that they were really pushing really hard and trying to get that equalizer early on, and that didn't end up happening. And I do feel like they kind of used up like all their energy or stamina, if you will, like kind of in FIFA terms. Like they used up everything they had. Kind of in that first half, probably first half hour of that game, and it didn't end up yielding them any results. And I think after that initial push from Arsenal, and after PSG was able to hold that off, it was kind of barbecue chicken from there. Like PSG were they're the better team. They deserve to move on from this fixture. I do think I was very disappointed though with Arsenal overall, because like you said, against Real Madrid, a lot of that had to do with Real Madrid's implosion, especially in that first leg of that fixture. It kind of felt like Real Madrid just could not handle the adversity after going down 3-0, kind of from two Declan Rice free kicks and kind of a fluky Mourinho goal. But I mean, in that second leg at Madrid, I felt like was in a way even better than that first leg performance from Arsenal, even though that was a 2-1, closer game. Because I felt like Arsenal was completely dominant throughout that fixture, and I felt like even past that 2-1 scoreline, and I really thought if they could replicate even close to that, that they did at the Bernabeu. If they could do that against PSG, that they'd have a good chance of going through, but they just weren't able to. And I do feel like credit to PSG because they played pretty much flawlessly, I felt like, through these two legs. They've been so phenomenal as of late, both in Liga 1 and in the UCL. They definitely deserve to be in this final. And especially considering where they started. I mean, they barely made it to the playoffs of the UCL, but then now in the UCL final is pretty remarkable. But yeah, I mean, again, Arsenal as well. It's their whole season is kind of been interesting to say the least. Because I mean, coming into this year, I had them winning the Premier League in my preseason predictions, and obviously that didn't. They're probably going to finish second. In the league. They obviously didn't end up winning it. But then they made a good run in the UCL. I mean, this is the furthest they've been in a long time. But to end in the semifinal against a team who, again, as phenomenal as PSG was, this was a team that Arsenal could have beat. Like, I don't think they were, like, talent-wise crazy, like, more talented or a way better team than Arsenal. Like, Arsenal could have won this game, for sure. And then, crashing out in both of the cup competitions, the domestic ones. It's just been such a weird season because, like, I don't know, finishing second in the league and then making a UCL semifinal on paper sounds like a pretty successful season, but I don't know. I think frustrations are kind of boiling up with Arsenal, especially considering every other team in the Big Six has either won a trophy or is in a final this year. Even like Tottenham, for example, who's in 17th in the league, having their worst season in their history, is in the Europa League final. And I mean, if they win that trophy, you could argue that they had a better season than Arsenal, which I don't know if I'd necessarily agree with that. But I mean, they won a trophy. They're playing in the Champions League next year. Like, I feel like for Arsenal fans, this was kind of the tipping point. Even though they had some pretty remarkable moments this year, uh, it's going into next season. It's going to be, I feel like, do or die for Arsenal. Like they have to win something next season because it's just been too long finishing second or finishing runners up. Like it's pretty brutal for them.
You know, I feel like they're not winning at anything, these days. I mean, they even lost the Tifo game versus PSG in the second leg. I mean, that PSG Tifo was like, it was the Bodlers Tifo, like Saka.
Yeah,
they're comparing Saka Timu Anthony. I mean, yeah, PSG really showed them what actual Tifo game is. And PSG came out hard. But yeah, I mean, Arsenal, what is this, phase 6 Arteta right now? Phase 5 Arteta? And
trust the process.
We have what? An FA Cup to show for this for Arsenal?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man.
5 years ago too at this point.
Come on, you Gooners, bro. Like, do something. But, like, yeah, literally, like, I don't know, like, to all the Arsenal fans out there, I don't know, like, what would you do if the Spurs won the Europa League? Like, I feel like
that it would be so
like,
funny.
Like I genuinely hope that the Spurs win the Europa League just to see Arsenal fans. Like,
I do too.
Just to see them like kill themselves. But that's funny. But yeah. But anyways, I mean, yeah, Arsenal. I don't really know. Like they're kind of just been like second for like the majority of like the past couple of years. Like they haven't been like they haven't been like winners, but they haven't been bad in a way. They're just kind of there, and like even like Manchester City, having one of the bad seasons for Manchester City right now. Like they're still Manchester City's still in third. Like they could easily catch up to Arsenal as well. So like I don't know. Like Arsenal, they have a lot of work to do in this offseason, and I do think that one of the biggest problems is depth. Yeah, as you said. They don't have a 9, so I don't get like what their problem is with signing a number 9. Like even like last year, sticking with Kai Havertz as your 9 is crazy. Like even going into last season. So I feel like this is something that they should have done last season, but this season it's crucial for them to sign a 9. Like whether it be like I have no idea, to be honest, who's on the market. Like Jokereich, I feel like is a target.
Yeah.
Maybe Marcus Thuram, but like. They need to sign somebody. Like a number 9 is what they need, and like I don't know. Like I feel like Arteta has just kind of been there. Like he's a good coach. Like he's a good manager. Like don't get me wrong, Arsenal is a really good team, but they just don't have much to show for it. They can't like they can't finish it. They can't finish the job. That's like it. That's like all it comes down to. But PSG on the other hand. What a wonderful season for PSG here. I mean, Dembele is making his case as a Ballon d'Or candidate right now. I mean, I think he has more goals than games played this year, so that's insane from Dembele. Kvara was such an interesting addition to this team, and I feel like it just made this team 10 times better. Because Kvara, every time I see that man play, he's so good. Like, even in this second leg of this game, Kvara, I think, got denied by the post twice. Like, that's yeah, I think he was denied by the post twice. So, I feel like Kvara was such a good addition. And then Desiree Douat, I mean, I feel like he's given Yamal a run for his money as one of the best youngsters right now. I don't think he has as much PR, as Yamal does, but I do think that Desiree Douat is actually a generational player. But, I mean, I feel like PSG in this general semifinals, none of their goals were like normal goals. I feel like all 3 of the goals they scored were all bangers. Like you started off with that first like goal with Dembele scoring that kind of like low driver down the bottom right corner, which is something I didn't think Dembele would be doing, like going back to his Barca days. And then you had that Fabian Ruiz goal, which is, I think, one of the best goals I've seen this season in the Champions League in general. And then the Hakimi goal, that turn, and then it was a banger top corner. What PSG? I don't know what they're feeding them in Paris, but this year PSG is something different.
Yeah. So I mean, just getting into the final here, if you want to get into the predictions here and kind of wrap this up. Inter versus PSG. I mean, this was a pretty unexpected final. I mean, coming into this UCL season, I don't think a lot of people saw this coming. But it's a very welcomed one. It's a very nice change of pace. I think to go into a UCL final where one team isn't like pretty significantly favored over the other, like we've had over the past couple of seasons, because this one honestly could go either way. Both teams deserve to be here and have had some pretty remarkable performances. Obviously, Inter versus Barca, and then PSG, what they've done,
They played all
climbing out of yeah.
they played all four Premier League teams in the Champions League.
They did,
They beat
yeah.
them all.
And they beat all four of them, yeah. Pretty remarkable from PSG, especially climbing from the bottom of the table early on and making it out and making it all the way to the final is pretty crazy. So I mean, getting into our predictions here, I think you predicted both of these legs correctly. And I went over 2, unfortunately. But getting into, I don't know where that sits us at points wise, but you're definitely
I can
ahead by
check.
quite a few at this point.
We can make it interesting though. We can change the point systems. So
Well,
right,
I was gonna say
yeah.
we should do a prediction for all 3 of the European finals,
Ooh.
Champions Europa and Conference League here.
You think that's like a separate video type of thing where we talk about that too?
I think we could just do them all real
All
quick because
right,
I don't really want to talk too much about like the
the
Conference
Conference
League, to
League.
be honest. But I think we should do this in like a
Interesting.
draft.
Okay, okay,
Like we pick, we each have to pick different ones for each.
okay. Sounds cool. Yeah.
So I'll let you pick first since you have by far the most points. Whichever team you're most confident in winning, um, out of these 3 competitions.
um, I'll go with the Europa League final. I'll pick that. I think
And what are you?
I
Who are you
think
picking?
I think Manchester United will win that Europa League final.
It's
As much as I want the Spurs to win, just because I hate Arsenal with like the bottom of my heart, like I think that Man United is on a generational run right now in the Europa League, and I really do think that like Amorim is low key like turned this team around in the Europa League, only the Europa League. But he has turned this team around.
yeah.
Like, he has turned a washed Casemiro into, like, genuinely one of the best DMs I've seen, like, in 2025 somehow. So, like, I don't understand that. Harry Maguire might be one of the best wingers in the world right now as well. Like, I don't know how that man is coming down the wing. Like, this guy's a center back. But, yeah, I mean,
Heredinho, bro.
yeah, I mean, as long as Rasmus Højlund is not starting for Man United, I think they have this one in the
he
bag.
probably
I think they have
he
this one in
might,
the
dude.
bag. But I mean,
That's very interesting.
this I feel like all 3 of these European finals could go either way. Like I feel like
Yeah,
even like the Chelsea Real Betis game, like from like a first look, from a first glance, you could say like, yeah, Chelsea's gonna smack them. But Real Betis has actually been a pretty decent side, even in La Liga this year. I mean, they've beaten Real Madrid. They've gave Barcelona a run for their money. I think they drew Barca. Like, I mean, and then on top of that, like, the one thing that you have to factor in is Anthony's aura. So, like
yeah.
that's like one of the biggest factors here. Like, I don't know, like if Cold Palmer can be that guy in this game. So, I mean, I'm gonna go with the Man United versus Spurs game. I think Man United wins this game. And yeah,
Interesting.
what about you? Next
Because
one. Oh yeah. Oh, actually, yeah,
well,
let's talk about
I
that.
think
Actually, yeah.
I think like that Euro. Honestly, I'm the most excited for the Europa League final out of all three of these because it's like a crazy. I don't know if I've talked about it on this podcast, but I've mentioned this game multiple times before. It's one of my favorite games ever. It was I think it was 2020 championship promotion playoff. Villa versus Derby County, where both teams were in
Oh
so
my
much
god.
debt
Yeah, yeah.
that the winner of them would get promoted to the Prem and be able to pay off their debts, and the loser would have to declare bankruptcy. And Villa ended up winning that game. It was a really close game, but Villa ended up winning. And I mean, look at Villa now, and look at Derby County now. They had to go into administration after that. So this kind of has the same vibe, I feel like, as that game because these teams are in 16th and 17th place respectively in the Premier League. So it's the worst season either of these teams have ever had, at least in the Premier League era.
Uh-huh.
And it kind of feels like both of these teams, like this is a must win for both of these teams, because the loser of this game is going to have their worst season ever. There's probably going to be a lot of changes, especially for Tottenham. I think Tottenham probably needs to win this a little bit more,
Yeah.
because Ainge, who might still get fired regardless of what happens, is 100% gone if they lose this final. And I mean, both these teams have made some serious investment in youth talent that really hasn't panned out super well. Um, so I don't know. Both these teams are going to have to reevaluate their spending, but especially the team that loses this final. Like this is a must
This
win.
is massive.
Like the winner of this game is going to play in the Champions League next year, and the loser is
He's finishing.
like the entire the entire like squad is getting fired. Like everybody is
Yeah.
cooked if they lose.
I mean, Ange, has said, he does win trophies in his second year.
Uh,
So
and
I really
part
do.
of that
Yeah,
too,
that
like
quote. Hopefully
if
that quote.
Spurs win, that is going to go down as one of the hardest quotes of all time after everything that's happened this year.
That's
And I will
crazy.
say, Spurs have beaten Man United. I
Yes,
wanted, I know they beat them both times in the league. I think they beat them in the Carabao Cup as well, but I'm not
I'm not
totally
sure.
sure.
I'm not sure.
They've beat them every time they've played this year. I know that. So I don't know. I don't think it's impossible for Spurs to win this game. I wouldn't be shocked. But I would say, yeah, Man United is probably going to win. But I'm not like I'll take Spurs
It's a
here.
good
I'm going to
game.
be rooting for Spurs.
It's a good
I'm
game.
going to be rooting for.
I am rooting for
Uh,
Spurs, but just for the point's sake, Man
yeah.
United.
All right. Well, I guess going
Yeah.
into I'll pick the next one, and I'll probably go Chelsea over Real Betis, in the Conference League. It's again another interesting matchup because Real Betis has been in form recently, and obviously ever since they got Anthony, who's also been in incredible form.
Been really good.
They've been very fun to watch, and they have played some pretty big teams well. I mean, even the Conference League, like making it to I know the Conference League is a little bit of a joke, but I mean, they did beat some decent teams to get there.
I think they
But
beat.
I do feel like Chelsea um, has what it takes to win this Conference League. I mean, they've been near the top of the Prem pretty much all
Yeah.
season. I just think squad wise, like they just have so much more talent in depth than Real Betis. I mean, anything could happen in one game, but I would expect like it would be pretty disappointing. I feel like if Chelsea lose this game,
Yeah.
um, and it would be cool. I mean, they'd be the first team ever to win all three competitions, and it also would be hilarious if both Tottenham and Chelsea won European trophies this year, and Arsenal had won nothing.
Yeah.
And I do kind of like low key feel like that's kind of what the script writers have in mind this year. So I'm gonna take Chelsea to win. I think Cole Palmer. I'm gonna say Chelsea wins. And bonus prediction, I'm gonna say Cole Palmer scores a late
Ooh,
winner.
interesting.
It's big aura moment for the year.
Like I do think that Chelsea has a really good shot of winning this, but like how crazy it would be for the first player in history to win both the Europa League and the Conference League in the same season, with Anthony winning it, bro. Because
I didn't even think about that.
he
I
has
didn't
played
even think
enough.
about
He has played enough Europa League games to qualify for the medal if Man United wins, and if Real Betis wins the Conference League, he wins that too. First player in history, man. Like this is like vintage
I didn't even
2008 Anthony, bro.
I mean, it would be probably one of the most unbreakable accomplishments in football history. Like, I don't think any player is going to beat that.
Like,
Um,
I feel like,
I-
yeah, this would solidify Anthony's aura. Like, it'll be like forever going down in history as Anthony. Like, man, like this guy's a generational player.
I mean, there's so many good storylines with every single one of these teams. Like, eh, eh, regardless of
Yeah,
which team wins any of these, like there's a phenomenal storyline. And I mean, getting into the UCL here, the big one, obviously you get a pick here, but I feel like I know what you're gonna go with.
it's actually, I genuinely don't know. Like this, like if I'm actually like trying to predict this game, I genuinely don't know. Like I was manifesting for both of these teams to make the finals just because I hated the other teams that
Mm.
they're playing, and it really just happened. So, you know, they're both such good teams. Like both teams 100% deserve to be here. I mean, Inter Milan starting off with, I mean, what a storyline. I mean, kind of one of the more underrated teams in the Champions League this year. They're not flashy, they're not like a high scoring team, but they're solid defensively. I mean, what, they only conceded 5 goals in the Champions League before that Barca game. Which I mean they did concede 6, which is more than they conceded all season, but still, I mean, that's Barca. But on the other hand, you have PSG, which is one of the most high flying attacks in Europe. I do think that their team is a very complete squad. And it's really interesting to also see PSG. They don't have any stars on their team. I mean, other than like Kavara or like Dembele, maybe. They don't have any like world like renowned players, that PSG is usually known to have, with like Zlatan or like Messi, Neymar, Mbappe, all those players,
Echo.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I really you have to root for both of these teams, like I'll be as a neutral, I feel like both of us are actually going to really enjoy this game. But if I'm going down to pick one, I think PSG wins this. I think I'll go with PSG. What about
Yeah,
you?
that's. I honestly would have picked Inter, um,
Yeah,
so I'm pretty happy with that. But yeah, again, this really could go either way. Um, I do think though. Maybe this is I mean, this is the same logic I used going into the semifinal legs, and that obviously didn't work very well. But I just think Inter's performance against Barcelona, I just think what they were able to do against that Barca team was so impressive that again, I mean, I mean, Barca is a better team, I feel like, than PSG, and Inter was able to knock them off. So I mean, just like that transitive property kind of logic, which I try to use in the Arsenal Real Madrid game, or that logic in the going into the semifinal, and that didn't quite work out. But I mean, I do think this is Inter is kind of like a team of destiny almost. I guess PSG is as well though, so it's so
it's
tough.
it's it's yeah,
But
it's so tough.
I do think Inter, they were obviously here a couple years ago. They lost to Man City in a game that honestly could have gone either way. I mean,
I
they
was
had a
rooting for
good
them.
chance
Yeah,
to win that game.
yeah.
But I do think they get it done this time. I do think this team is a little bit better. And I just feel like, as good as PSG is, I just think that Inter they got a stronger defense. And I think with guys like Lautaro Martinez at striker, who I think is one of the most underrated players in the world, I think he'll
Agreed.
be able to get one past Donnarumma, and I think that'll just be enough. I think it'll be a low scoring, probably another 1-0 final, which I know everyone complains about, but I would say Inter wins 1-0. Probably Lautaro Martinez, like second half goal. Um, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling.
I think it'll be a 2-1, 2-1 PSG. I feel like this game is gonna be like a goalie like or a face off, between Donnarumma
Yeah,
and Jan
yeah,
Somar. They're actually gonna go band for band on who can make the better save. I feel like, and I mean, I feel like all three of these European competitions are actually gonna be really good. Like, there's genuinely like not one of these teams that I would like 100% be like, yeah, they're gonna win this cup.
Hmm.
They're all good matchups. Like I mean, like the past couple of years, you can't really say that. I mean, the conference league usually like like when you have like a 90% shot that one team's gonna win. But
Hmm.
like this year, in all three of these, it could go either way. Like
Yeah.
especially like the UCL here, like both these teams 100% deserve to be here. Both these teams fought hard to be here.
Hmm.
And I do think that either way, I feel like football wins in the end. So maybe like if I'm going for like, I don't want Mbappe to kind of be like the issue at PSG, as a Real Madrid fan. So maybe I could go with like an Inter Milan win, but like I do think that PSG has what it takes to beat Inter Milan. So I think I'll stick with PSG winning it here.
Yeah. So I guess that kind of wraps up the video a little bit.
Yeah.
So you're going with PSG, Man U, and Real Betis, and then I'm rocking with Inter, Tottenham, and Chelsea here.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm
Yeah.
like, to be honest, that's probably what I would have picked for all three of these fixtures. I'm not gonna lie, even though
Yeah.
I do think Tottenham is gonna lose, but I am rooting for them so hard that like I have to
Yeah.
pick them.
Like, yeah. I completely get it. Like, these games, like, I feel like as a neutral, you all are going to love to watch these games. So,
Hmm.
like, this is genuine, like, one of the best years of European football we've seen
It really
in,
has
like,
been,
the last
yeah,
couple of years. So, I mean, just enjoy it. This summer's going to be
yeah.
crazy. So, do you have anything else to add?
No, not really.
Yeah,
Uh,
but that basically sums it up. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And yeah, we'll see you after the finals. Maybe we might do a couple of videos before that,
mhm.
but yeah, just keep an eye out for them. But yeah, we'll talk about this after the final. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.